it's in, I should never say all, but it's very, very prevalent. And so there's a lot of these things that are in products and chemicals and things that we don't even know. They don't have to list all the things. There's a lot of problems with food products. And most of them, there's all kinds of potential problems with the substances, but one for sure major big problem is how many carbohydrates they have, how much sugar is hidden in it. If you go to a restaurant and you're all excited to go out to eat, and I don't know, some people maybe eat out a lot, some people don't. So, you know, for myself, if I get to go to eat somewhere, I'm pretty excited, it's kind of a big deal, don't get to do it much. So you go there and the restaurant food tastes pretty good. So I haven't done this in a very long time, but I don't know, like if you go to like Pizza Hut or something like that, that pizza tastes really good. And then you want to go there again. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why it tastes so good. And if you were to try to make that pizza at home, you're like, why does my pizza suck so bad? And well, it's because they use all kinds of, well, one, there's a whole bunch of white flour in it, so there's sugar, they put extra sugar in it, and there's all kinds of flavor enhancing substances that they put in there to make it taste unrealistically good. And this is all very, very common knowledge. All big companies have food scientists that work on all this kind of stuff. They're, you know, so a while back, the MSG was a big thing. So our MSG is bad. Okay, we get it, yeah, it's bad. And so then all the Chinese restaurants have on the front, no MSG. Well, there's like about 100 different flavor enhancing chemicals. Okay, no MSG, but we got this stuff, right? Okay, so plastic water bottles, BPA free. Okay, so cool, that stuff is really bad for you, I want to talk about it. But that plastic water bottle is still hard. It didn't like fall down, it didn't melt, it didn't like go into a puddle. It's still hard, and there's different hardnesses of plastic, and so they just use a different chemical. It's BPA free, but I have read that the next chemical was worse. I don't know, but we still have plastic. And so again, if I go back to giant corporations don't care about us, we have all these products that we're exposed to, and it hurts us in all kinds of ways. If I talk hormonally a little bit, so I mentioned plastic. So remember I said our 30-day challenge is a hormonal reset. We're trying to remove as many hormonal disrupting chemicals and substances as possible to, in 30 days, let your body recover a little bit. Hormones are big. Hormones make you feel hungry. Hormones make you crave that chocolate or popcorn or salty something or ice cream or whatever it is. Hormones tell you to do that. Actually, your metabolism initiates the process whereby it produces the correct brain chemicals and hormones to tell your body what to do, because we're too stupid to do it. Our metabolism is this balancing act that, when it sees something wrong, produces the situation whereby it tries to save us from our stupidity. And it's really that simple. So a person exercises way too much and they're dieting like crazy. So they have calorie restriction and too much exercise. They lose a whole bunch of weight really quickly. Metabolism goes, okay, it's been 6 days. I'm okay. It's 12 days. Okay, what the hell? Okay, 12 days, okay, a lot of exercise, way more than I've been doing before, and we're calorie restricted. How am I supposed to deal with this? Okay, we're gonna start, we're gonna die. Metabolism doesn't care about you, doesn't care about your six-pack, it doesn't care about anything. It cares about keeping the organism alive. So, person does a 10-week fitness weight loss program, and they exercise like a madman, 6 days a week. They're rocking. The first month, they're killing it. And they're losing weight like crazy. It's just falling off. And they're on this program and they're not eating very much and blah, blah, blah. So 8 weeks comes along. They're they're craving food. They can't figure it out. They, man, I'm so tired. I just really don't know if I can get there today. And they're kind of falling off. They're kind of falling off. By the 10 week, well, their body's totally pissed. Okay, so at that point, they're going, you know, I just don't have it in me anymore. I just don't seem to have the willpower. What you don't have now is balance. And so your metabolism told your hormones to produce these brain chemicals to make you slow down and make you hungry and make you sleepy. Your metabolism did that, not to you, but for you, so you stop being so stupid and get back to normal. And so why does like an 8-week, 10-week weight loss program not work? How many people do you know have been on a program, lost weight like crazy, and then gained it all back, and about 60% or more gained more back? How many people do you know have done that? Maybe you've done it yourself. So that is your metabolism trying to be in homeostasis. It's trying to save your life. And it's very cool and interesting how it does this. So while I'm on that subject, because there's a million of them, I'll just kind of hit this a little bit. So what do we do about that? How do we fix that? And I don't have any hard information. It's very, very hard to find. Nobody wants to say it out loud. Even the term set point, you won't really find it anywhere. But our bodies have a balance, a homeostasis. If we have been like we are, like what you are right now, if you've been like that for a period of time, your body wants to stay there. It doesn't matter if you're skinny or fat or whatever, your body wants to stay there. Because that's where it's been for a while. Your metabolism is happy there. Your metabolism doesn't know anything about, you know, all these bad chemicals and all these kind of things, but you're there. It's functioning, and you got this level of metabolic rate that's keeping you in that same spot. So, person loses all that weight, they get that reaction from the metabolism and wanting to bring them back to homeostasis. So how do we fix that? How do we beat that? One, we need to do it slowly. So that program where you're just going like a madman and it's dropping off, your body's it's gonna react to that. It's not gonna work. We need to do it more slowly, more reasonably, and also we need to do it for a longer period of time. So the 10-week program didn't work. I would be super interested to know how many people did Farrell's kickboxing, lost 20, 30, 40 pounds maybe, who knows what, and gained it all back in a very, very short time. Like we're talking like a couple weeks, 3 weeks. So it doesn't work. We need to, the best I've ever been able to find out, and even the term set point, that our body has a set point, doesn't really exist, but we need to change our set point. We need to change our balance, we need to change our homeostasis. And the best I've ever seen, the only thing I ever came across in all the time I looked at it was a time period of 9 months. If we get to our ideal weight and stay there for 9 months, I can't promise you because I don't really know, nobody seems to write it down anywhere, we will then stay there. Our body will go, okay, this is where we're at, this is my new set point, this is my new balance point, this is where I'm at. And then it will be hard to change from there. So even if you ate really poorly after that, your body won't want to gain weight right away because it wants to stay at that set point. It's going to speed up your metabolism. So I'm sure that makes sense to you. It's not the easiest thing. So what's the most discouraging thing I can tell somebody? Well, one, okay, I always tell the truth, okay, no matter how hard it is. So I'm only going to tell you the best of my knowledge what's real. There's no smoke, and I'm not going to pump you up or whatever. It's going to be like the real thing. So that's a little discouraging because my friend did this program for 8 weeks and she lost 25 pounds. Yeah, well, cool. That means nothing. Okay, she did all of that for nothing because it's all going to come back. It's not going to make any difference whatsoever. So to tell a person that we need to do this in a really, really, knowledgeable way and then stay there for an extended period of time, nobody wants to hear that. Like, are you serious? Because I can go to McDonald's, I can have a burger in 33 seconds. Okay, everything that we have nowadays is fast, especially in their generation. Everything is quick, quick, quick. And so very few people have what it takes to take that long-term view. But to the very best of my knowledge, being as truthful as possible, that's what it takes. It takes a lifestyle change over a period of time. Sorry. Okay, are there any questions so far? Anything? Okay, so kind of hitting up some of the stuff. I want to talk about a couple things still in overall health before we talk about, the Whole30 aspect and that kind of thing. If our human organism 10,000 years ago ate everything that grew out there, then there were no nutritional deficiencies if there was enough of it. Okay, winter sucks, okay? So imagine you have to try to figure out how to, store enough food, have it stay long enough or not rot and all that kind of stuff. There's no doubt that people 10,000 years ago got pretty hungry in the winter. I mean, that's kind of like a logical assumption. And that's probably where I should talk about keto, but I'll just leave that at the end. So our human bodies, I'll talk about that at the end. Okay, so that's all that was available. That's what our bodies did. There were no products, there was no nothing. And we have been on the planet for a super long time. No matter what you believe, we've been on the planet a long time, like religiously, archaeologically, whatever. We've been on the planet a long time. So I think everyone agrees that the human organism does best on real food. Nowadays, we have shocking, it's not so shocking, but really, really large deficiencies. So you might have heard about, vitamin D, D3, K2, things like that. We, in the northern latitudes, which we are, we only get sunlight capable of hitting our skin and producing vitamin D only a portion of the year. And I don't know exactly what that portion is. It might be 6-7 months, I don't know. But you can lay outside, I was gonna say bare ass naked, but I'll say it anyway. Bare ass naked, in the middle of winter, somewhere where you're out of the wind or whatever, and you can lay there all day. You're not gonna get a sunburn and you're not gonna produce vitamin D. That's how we're naturally supposed to produce vitamins, vitamin D, it hits our skin, we produce it. So up to 85% of Americans are deficient in vitamin D3. Vitamin D3 is super important. It's actually a steroid hormone. It's not just a vitamin. It's super crazy important. It will fix a lot of things. People are unhealthy. They take extra vitamin D for a while and vitamin D3 with K2, and they are suddenly feeling better. People with dark skin, dark complexion, black people, any variations, the darker your skin, the more likely they are nowadays to be vitamin D deficient, because their skins have been, over time, very long period of time, adapted to sunlight, so they would get the appropriate amount. Now in our society, they are starving worse than us, pale white people. So that's even more important for them. And it's a very real thing. A lot of people talk about SADS and stuff in the winter or whatever. Well, a lot of times Minnesota winter can suck pretty badly, but a lot of people are very deficient in vitamin D3 throughout the winter. And I would highly recommend that you take a good quality vitamin D3, K2 supplement all year long, but more in the winter. In the summertime, okay, so these are some of the things that will make a big, big difference to your health. If you start looking into how to be a healthy human, these are some of the things that will make a very big difference for us in our society. So it's summertime. You walk from your house to the car, and the sun might have hit you for 6.5 seconds, or maybe you went from the house to the carport, or whatever Americans call that, attached to the house. What is it called?
Garage.
Garage. Attached garage. So all the realtors are going, that's an attached garage, okay? Okay, so, and then they didn't even get in the sun, and then they went to work, and then maybe maybe they had to park outside, but maybe they're underground parking. And then they walk, so if they're outside, what do they get? Like, I don't know, 20 seconds or something to the door, and then they're in the building all day long, and then maybe some people went out at lunch, and they sat out in the sun for a little while, or someone took a walk. That's very few people. And then they repeated the same thing and went home. So it's summertime, so what? You still didn't get D3. You need to take D3. We need to, in our society, we shouldn't have to, but you need to take D3 in the summertime. It's crazy, but that's where we're at. And then you should take more in the winter. And so that is an absolute must. If 85% of Americans are deficient, and it's super important. Okay, so Google D3 and all the things that it does for you. I mean, it's crazy important. Okay, so one, magnesium is the other big one. 80% of Americans are deficient in magnesium. Magnesium is in virtually every plant, and okay, so I've done seminars before, and I say, okay, so you're going to eat whole food, and then someone says, well, what is that? And I say, okay, so that's something that grew, hopefully not genetically modified, and hopefully not in the grocery store. So it says on there organic, or you got it from a friend or whatever. Okay, so I said, okay, when was the last time you ate a real food? That was a grass-fed piece of meat, or an organic fruit vegetable. And so everybody starts thinking about it. You guys are thinking about it. When was that? And then some guy goes like, okay, I think it was like 3 days ago I had an apple. I'm like, okay, good for you. You're gonna die very soon, okay? Because so you haven't had a piece of real food in 3 days? Okay, and that guy thought he was doing good. Okay, so many people, you might know some of them, they eat fast food twice a day. Okay, there's no real food. Okay, you guys know there's no real food there, right? Okay, and so if we eat things that grow, there's no magnesium deficiency. There's none of that. All you have to do is eat food, and everything's fine. You don't have to read an article. You don't have to read a study. Eat food, real food. Okay, so later, or maybe we talk about dairy. Okay, so someone says, well, my doctor told me I need calcium, and I need calcium for my baby. I'm like, oh God, don't do that. Okay, so we need calcium, right? So how many people do you know that are starving? Do you know anybody in America starving? Now, there's no doubt some poor people in America, and they're not eating very well, but you look around America and you're kind of going, okay, no one's starving here. Okay, so you go to India, you go to somewhere else, you see people that are close to starving. Okay, so in America, not happening. And so we get a huge amount of foods that contain calcium. But the doctor says, and it's really interesting to see where the doctor got his education, but the doctor says, well, you need calcium. Okay, so now, without calcium, we could get osteoporosis or things like that, our bones are going to be brittle and frail and all kinds of stuff, hunched over, all kinds of stuff. Okay, so you've got some woman who is damn near starving in Africa, and she walks 5 hours a day, or India, a lot of places do this, I'm not exaggerating, to get water to bring back to their family. And so this is their job amongst a million things, because the women do all the work, and most of the guys sit around on their ass and do nothing in a lot of these countries, I'm not kidding. So they go to get the water, and they're carrying it back on their head, or however they can carry it, and this is every day, they're doing this every day, and they have no dairy. Zero dairy, no cheese, no nothing, none of that stuff, and they have a very, very limited source of nutrition. There's no osteoporosis. They got this shit on their head, okay? There's no osteoporosis. They are perfectly fine, because what they are eating is food, not food products. So many of the things that we believe, many of the things that we've been told for 25 years is absolutely wrong. Fat is bad for you. This is the big one. No one ever said sugar is good for you or tobacco is good for you. I don't think anyone actually said that, okay? But people have said that whole grains are good for you, the government for one. And so we are told these things like saturated fat is bad for you, it's going to kill you, it's going to give you heart disease. I hope you know by now, I don't know if you do, but that is a giant, let's call it a lie, let's call it greed, let's call it political whatever. That is absolutely untrue. If the human population for eons ate grass-fed meat out there, and that was one of the very few protein sources they had on a consistent basis, and fish, if the human organism is eating that for eons, how do we make it that far? If that's going to give us heart disease and everything, how do we make it this far? It's absolute bullshit, it's greed in politics. So at that time, well, I don't know if you believe this, but there was a fight in the sugar industry, and then the meat industry, big fight, whatever. So anyway, sugar industry won. And so saturated fat is good for us. We need it. If you want to be a man, any men want to be a man, you need saturated fat. I would highly recommend that you get some. Otherwise, you're not going to be much of a man. Straight up. Okay? And, well, don't even get me started about nowadays. Okay? Because hormonally, men are not men anymore. And I shouldn't say all men, but there's a lot of things happening that is absolutely crazy. Because I think I started this discussion by talking about hormones and BPA. And so there were a number of studies done that found, and this one did this length of time, this length of time, this percentage, that percentage. There was one done really quite recently from researchers in France. But in general, one can say that the motility, okay, the health and volume of men's sperm has decreased 50%